February 12, 2026. Day 12 of the search for Nancy Guthrie. 12 days since an 84-year-old woman disappeared from her own home in the Catalina Foothills area of Tucson, Arizona, according to official records. 12 days since her family last heard her voice. 12 days since the doorbell camera on her front porch went dark at 1:47 in the morning, according to the digital timestamps that investigators have been analyzing around the clock. But in the last 48 hours, according to official statements from law enforcement and reporting by multiple national news outlets, this investigation has shifted into a gear that even veteran investigators say they rarely witness. More than 18,000 calls. That is the number of tips that have flooded into the Pima County Sheriff's Department since February 1st, according to the department's official statement released on February 12th. More than 4,000 of those calls came in a single 24-hour window, according to what authorities confirmed, directly following the FBI's release of surveillance footage showing a masked armed figure approaching Nancy's front door. The investigation has expanded across the Arizona desert, according to law enforcement updates. FBI agents are now combing roadways, searching desert terrain, and following leads that span from the Catalina Foothills to Rio Rico, a small community 60 miles south of Tucson, near the Mexican border, as authorities confirmed in public statements. A man was detained in a traffic stop south of Tucson, according to official announcements from the Pima County Sheriff's Department, then released without charges after hours of questioning, as law enforcement confirmed. His home was searched by the FBI Evidence Response Team under a court-authorized warrant, according to what officials disclosed. The search warrant itself is sealed, according to court records obtained by CNN, and Sheriff Chris Nanos told 13 News directly on February 11th. More detainments are likely, according to his statement to the outlet. But here is the detail that has investigators most focused right now, according to reporting by CNN and other outlets. The backpack. The backpack visible in the surveillance footage released by the FBI, carried by the masked figure who approached Nancy's door in the pre-dawn hours of February 1st, according to what the footage documents, has been identified by investigators as a specific product, according to reporting by CNN. The Ozark Trail Hiker Pack, according to their reporting. Walmart's private label outdoor brand. A specific, purchasable, trackable item. That single detail, according to investigative analysis, could be the thread that unravels everything. This is the investigation as it stands on day 12. The tips, the searches, the backpack, the detained man, and what his case reveals about investigative strategy, and why Sheriff Nanos says more detainments are coming, according to his own words. Because somewhere in those 18,000 calls, somewhere in the desert being searched by FBI agents right now, somewhere connected to a specific backpack sold at Walmart stores across the country, the answer to what happened to Nancy Guthrie may be waiting to be found. Before we examine every new development in this investigation and what the evidence is telling law enforcement right now, if you're following cases where modern investigative techniques and public engagement combine to pursue truth, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Here at the Investigation Room, we analyze official statements, documented evidence, and investigative timelines based on verified sources and public law enforcement releases, to understand how these cases develop in real time. New investigations and case updates every week. If you're following the search for Nancy Guthrie and want the most comprehensive analysis of where this investigation stands, hit that like button and let me know in the comments. What detail from this investigation do you think is most significant for identifying who is responsible? Now let's examine exactly where this investigation stands and why the next 48 hours may be critical. Before we analyze the investigation, we need to remember who this is about. Nancy Long Guthrie was born on January 27, 1942, in Fort Wright, Kentucky, according to public records and family statements. She is not simply a news headline or a missing persons case number. She is a woman with 84 years of life behind her, a mother of 3, a grandmother, a woman who attended Notre Dame Academy, an all-girls Catholic school in Park Hills, Kentucky, according to what the school's alumni page posted on Facebook when her disappearance was reported. She attended the University of Kentucky, according to public records, where she worked at the student-led newspaper, the Kentucky Colonel, in 1963. She built a life, married Charles Guthrie, moved to the Tucson area more than 5 decades ago in the early 1970s, according to what family members have shared publicly. She raised 3 children, Annie, Savannah, and Cameron. She became a grandmother. She remained active, independent, and engaged with life into her 80s. Her daughter Savannah is a co-anchor of NBC's Today Show, one of the most recognized faces in morning television, seen by millions of Americans every day. That connection has brought national attention to this case in ways that most missing person investigations never receive. But the attention, according to what Savannah herself has emphasized in her public statements, is about more than her prominence. It is about finding her mother, about bringing home a woman who loves her family and has decades of history and life that make her irreplaceable to the people who know her. According to Sheriff Chris Nanos in multiple press conferences, Nancy has limited mobility but is mentally sharp. He described her as sharp as a tack in his public statements, according to media coverage of those briefings. She has no cognitive impairment, no dementia, no conditions that would cause confusion or disorientation. She knew exactly what was happening on that Saturday night when she arrived home from dinner with her family. But she is physically vulnerable in ways that make every passing day more medically dangerous, according to what the sheriff confirmed publicly. She requires daily medication for serious health conditions. She has a pacemaker, according to confirmed reports, the monitoring app for which went offline at 2:28 a.m. on February 1st, according to the digital timeline investigators established. Missing her medications, according to the sheriff's own public statements, could be fatal. This is who the investigation is about. A real person, with real medical needs, whose family is in real anguish right now. Understanding that helps frame every investigative decision, every public statement, every search operation. All of it is ultimately about bringing Nancy home alive, if that remains possible, and about holding accountable whoever is responsible for taking her. To understand where the investigation stands today, we need to understand the complete timeline of events as established by official law enforcement sources and documented by digital evidence, according to what has been publicly confirmed. Saturday, January 31st, 2026. The last normal day. According to the timeline established by investigators and presented by Sheriff Nanos in press conferences, Nancy Guthrie spent the evening with family. She traveled via Uber to one of her daughter's homes, according to the timeline reported by NPR and other outlets, for dinner and game night. This was the kind of ordinary Saturday evening that families have everywhere. Comfortable, routine, normal. At 9:48 p.m., according to the precise timestamp that investigators established, a family member dropped Nancy off at her home in the Catalina Foothills. The family member saw her safely to her door. Nothing appeared wrong. Nothing seemed unusual. Nancy was home for the night. That family member drove away with no reason to be concerned. Then the pre-dawn hours of Sunday, February 1st, 2026. At 1:47 a.m., according to the digital timestamp confirmed by investigators and Sheriff Nanos in public statements, Nancy's doorbell camera disconnected. The Google Nest camera on her front porch, which should have been recording activity at her door, went offline. At 2:12 a.m., according to the official timeline presented by Sheriff Nanos, the camera's software detected a person on camera. But the system had no stored footage, investigators initially believed, because it continuously rewrites over its recordings according to the sheriff's explanation. What investigators didn't know yet was that fragments of this footage would later be recoverable from back-end systems, as the FBI's breakthrough would demonstrate. At approximately 2:17 a.m., based on the footage later recovered, the masked figure approached Nancy's front door, armed, gloved, backpack loaded with equipment, moving with purpose and confidence according to what the footage shows. At 2:28 a.m., according to the official timeline, Nancy's pacemaker disconnected from its monitoring app. 11 minutes after the masked figure was captured on the recovered footage approaching her door. 11 minutes. The pacemaker app goes dark. The digital monitoring of Nancy's vital cardiac device ceases. The implication of that timeline is devastating. Sunday morning, February 1st, 2026. Nancy was expected to watch a virtual church service with a friend, according to reporting by NBC News. This was part of her routine. When she didn't appear and couldn't be reached, according to what the timeline shows, concern grew. At 11:56 a.m., according to the official timeline provided by the Pima County Sheriff's Department, family members arrived at Nancy's residence to check on her. They found she was missing, according to what deputies confirmed. At 12:03 p.m., according to official records, a 911 call was made. Deputies arrived approximately 10 minutes later, at roughly 12:13 p.m., according to the response timeline. What deputies found at the scene transformed what might have been a welfare check into an intensive criminal investigation within hours, according to what the evidence and law enforcement response indicated. Nancy was not there. Her wallet was left behind, according to confirmed reports. Her cell phone was left behind and is in the possession of authorities, according to official statements. Her medications were left behind, according to what Sheriff Nanos confirmed. Her personal effects remained in the home while she was gone. Blood droplets were found on the front stoop, according to what CBS News obtained footage of early in the investigation. That blood was later confirmed through DNA testing to belong to Nancy, according to what the sheriff confirmed publicly. And there were signs of forced entry at the home, according to a person familiar with the investigation who disclosed this to the Associated Press, as reported by multiple outlets. Someone had broken into Nancy Guthrie's home, entered while she was presumably asleep, according to what investigators believe based on the 2 a.m. timeline, taken her against her will, and left behind everything that might sustain her: medications, phone, wallet. At 6:46 p.m. on February 1st, according to the official timeline, the Pima County Sheriff's Department posted on social media to announce Nancy's disappearance publicly. The search had begun. The decision that would define the entire trajectory of this investigation came quickly after deputies arrived at Nancy's residence, according to what the investigative response showed. Sheriff Chris Nanos made the call that few sheriffs make in what was publicly being described as a missing person or kidnapping case. He brought in the homicide unit, according to official announcements. Not just search and rescue, not just missing persons investigators, criminal homicide specialists. In press conferences, Sheriff Nanos explained this decision in terms that were specific and revealing, according to what reporters documented. He noted that in his career he gets briefed regularly on search and rescue operations. But rarely, he emphasized, does law enforcement call out homicide investigators in missing person cases. This one was different. There is something that is not right here, Nanos stated in public remarks, according to media coverage of his press conferences. That phrase, delivered by the county's top law enforcement official, carried a weight that observers understood immediately. What wasn't right, according to the evidence investigators were seeing, was the pattern of the scene. The blood on the stoop, confirmed as Nancy's. The medications left behind despite their critical necessity. The doorbell camera disconnected at a precise moment in the middle of the night. The pacemaker app going offline 11 minutes after a figure approached the door. None of that matched the profile of a random crime of opportunity, according to investigative analysis. All of it pointed toward planning, according to what the evidence suggested. The involvement of homicide investigators changed how the scene was processed and how evidence was handled, according to law enforcement experts who explained standard procedures to media. Evidence collected under homicide protocols is preserved with the chain of custody requirements that criminal prosecution demands. Every surface, every item, every piece of potential trace evidence is documented and handled in ways designed to survive legal scrutiny. This was not investigators assuming Nancy was dead. This was investigators, in Sheriff Nanos's own words, taking a realistic approach to a case where the evidence didn't fit standard kidnapping patterns, according to what he explained publicly. The FBI joined the investigation, according to official announcements, bringing federal resources including crisis management experts, analytical support, and investigative teams to a 24-hour command center established in Tucson, as authorities confirmed. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection also provided assistance, according to official statements, given the proximity of the Arizona-Mexico border to some of the investigative activity. Several hundred detectives and agents have been assigned to this case, according to the joint statement released by the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI on February 12. Several hundred. That is a resource commitment that reflects both the seriousness of the case and the complexity of the evidence investigators are working through, according to analysis of the investigative scale. For 10 days following Nancy's disappearance, according to what the investigative timeline shows, one of the most critical potential pieces of evidence appeared to be lost. The Google Nest doorbell camera that should have captured whoever approached Nancy's home in those early morning hours had been disconnected at 1:47 a.m. according to the digital timestamp. The camera's system, which continuously overwrites its recordings according to how Sheriff Nanos explained it to the public, initially appeared to have preserved nothing from the critical period. Investigators knew from other digital evidence that something had been captured. The camera software detected movement at 2:12 a.m. according to the timeline, but the footage itself seemed gone. Whoever disabled that camera appeared to have succeeded in destroying the visual evidence of their approach. They were wrong. For 10 days, according to what FBI Director Kash Patel announced on February 10th, FBI digital forensic specialists worked alongside private sector technology partners to excavate what had been dismissed as lost. They went into back-end systems, according to Patel's specific explanation in his Hannity interview, into the infrastructure supporting cloud-based camera systems, looking for residual data that the camera's local rewriting process hadn't reached. Two law enforcement sources told CBS News specifically that the FBI worked directly with Google to recover the Nest camera video, according to that outlet's reporting. The technical process, according to experts who spoke to NBC News, involved collecting data from the complex infrastructure behind cloud-based cameras, infrastructure that perpetrators typically don't know exists or consider when attempting to destroy evidence. On February 10, 2026, at 12:10 p.m. Eastern Time, according to the timestamp of his post, FBI Director Patel published to his X account what that 10 days of technical work had produced. 6 black and white photographs, 3 video clips, 44 seconds of surveillance footage total according to Newsweek's reporting of the duration, recovered from what should have been deleted data. The images showed, according to what the footage documents, a masked individual at Nancy Guthrie's front porch. The person was wearing a ski mask or balaclava covering the face according to what the images show, a dark jacket, light-colored pants, sneakers, and carrying what would become one of the most analyzed pieces of evidence in the entire investigation, a full backpack. The person was visibly armed, according to what FBI Director Patel confirmed in his post and what the footage shows. A holstered gun visible on the front of the person's waistband in at least one video clip, according to what multiple analysts confirmed after reviewing the images. The gloves were notable, according to forensic experts who analyzed the footage for media outlets. Vinyl or heavy-duty rubber gloves of a type designed to prevent fingerprint transfer. Someone who came prepared to avoid leaving identifiable physical evidence. The footage showed the approach toward Nancy's door according to what the first video clip captured, then the reaching toward the camera with a gloved hand, according to the second clip, then the deliberate obstruction of the lens with what appears to be leafy plant material, according to the third clip, and then darkness. But even in those 44 seconds before darkness, investigators had what they needed to take to the public. The FBI seeks information that will lead to the identity of this individual, the official statement accompanying the release said, according to what was published. Within minutes of the release, Savannah Guthrie had shared the footage on her Instagram account with the message that has since been viewed by millions. "We believe she is still alive. Bring her home." President Trump reviewed the surveillance imagery, according to White House statements. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters the president's initial reaction was pure disgust, according to CBS News reporting of her statement, and urged any American with knowledge of the suspect to contact the FBI immediately. The footage had reached a national audience within hours of its release. Among all the physical characteristics visible in the surveillance footage, one has become a specific focus of investigative analysis that experts say could provide the most actionable lead, according to reporting by CNN and other outlets. The backpack. According to CNN's reporting on the investigation, investigators are specifically looking at the type of backpack the masked figure was carrying in the doorbell camera footage. Their reporting identifies it as appearing to be an Ozark Trail hiker pack, according to what CNN disclosed about investigative focus. This is significant for reasons that go beyond simple identification of an item, according to analysis by investigators and retail specialists who have spoken to media. Ozark Trail is Walmart's private label outdoor brand, according to what the brand designation means. Products sold under private label retail brands have specific distribution patterns, according to retail analysts. They are sold exclusively through the retailer that owns the brand, in this case Walmart, rather than through multiple retailers or online marketplaces where anonymous purchase is easier. Walmart purchases, according to retail data experts and law enforcement officials who have worked previous cases involving retail tracking, can sometimes be connected to loyalty programs, credit or debit card transactions, or in-store camera systems that capture who purchased specific items at specific times, according to how these investigative techniques work in practice. If the backpack was purchased at a Walmart store, according to this investigative logic, there may be a transaction record. There may be security footage from that transaction. There may be loyalty program data connecting the purchase to a specific person or account, according to what retail data analysis can reveal. This kind of evidence, according to former FBI agents who have explained tracking techniques to media, has broken cases that seem to have no leads. A specific product purchased at a traceable location, by a traceable method, creates a thread that investigators can follow directly to an individual, even when no other identifying evidence is available. Beyond purchase tracking, the specific identification of the backpack type allows investigators and the public to compare the item against backpacks owned by anyone in the suspect pool, according to investigative methodology. Does someone in Nancy's circle of contacts, contractors, service providers, or neighbors own a matching backpack? Does the person identified through other leads own this specific item? Former FBI Special Agent Nicole Parker, speaking on Fox News according to their coverage, called the surveillance footage release a very huge break in this case. The backpack identification represents an extension of that break, according to analysis, because it provides a specific, purchasable, potentially traceable item connected to the perpetrator. The visible weapon in the footage has also become a focus of analysis, according to law enforcement experts who have reviewed the images for media outlets. The holster style and position provide information about how this person carries a firearm, according to firearms specialists. Someone who regularly carries a weapon holsters it in habitual positions and styles. The way the holster is worn, according to these analysts, can narrow the pool of individuals who might match the profile shown in the footage. Even the shoes, visible in multiple frames of the footage, provide potential identification leads, according to footwear analysis experts. Shoe styles and types can sometimes be matched to purchases or to known wear patterns of specific individuals, according to forensic footwear analysis techniques. The ski mask itself, while designed to conceal identity, created an unintended lead according to what multiple analysts noted. Through the mask material in several frames, according to reports including enhanced image analysis by TMZ, a prominent mustache is visible. Dark facial hair, described as visible both above and below the lips, according to the TMZ reporting, provides a specific physical characteristic that is either present or absent in any potential suspect. In a suspect pool that investigators are actively working through according to what Sheriff Nanos's statements indicate, a visible mustache is a binary eliminating characteristic. Either a potential suspect has one or they don't. Either it matches the footage or it doesn't. The number that has defined the investigation since the surveillance footage was released is not a timeline or a duration. It is a volume, 18,000 calls, according to the joint statement released by the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI on February 12th. Nearly 18,000 calls to the Sheriff's Department since February 1st, with more than 4,000 of those coming in the 24-hour window following the surveillance footage release, according to what authorities confirmed publicly. Several hundred detectives and agents assigned to the case, according to the same official statement, are working through every one of those tips. This raises a question that experts have addressed publicly. How does law enforcement actually process this volume? How does an investigative team separate the tips that matter from the ones that don't, in a time frame that keeps pace with the medical urgency of Nancy's situation? Retired FBI hostage negotiator Richard Kolko, speaking on CNN with Anderson Cooper according to their coverage, explained the general process. Trained personnel review each submission and prioritize what requires immediate follow-up, according to his description of standard procedure. They do not work through tips in the order received, according to Kolko. Tips that include specific, verifiable details get priority. Tips that match details known to investigators but not made public get elevated attention, according to standard investigative practice. CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller, speaking on the same program according to CNN's coverage, emphasized that all of these tips are handled by real human investigators, not automated systems. This is a labor-intensive process that the scale of the investigation is specifically designed to accommodate, according to his explanation. Tips are evaluated for credibility indicators, according to how these processes work, as explained by former law enforcement officials to media. Is the caller specific? Do they provide details that match known evidence? Do they seem familiar with the area? Have they had legitimate contact with potential suspects? Is their information consistent with the established timeline? Tips that pass credibility screening are prioritized for follow-up, according to investigative methodology. This can mean checking names against known databases, examining phone records, running vehicle registrations, interviewing the person who provided the tip for more detail, or in some cases, as occurred with Carlos Palazuelos, conducting traffic stops and searches based on physical resemblance information. The volume of tips also creates specific investigative opportunities, according to former investigators who have explained tip line strategy to media. When multiple independent callers identify the same person or location without apparent connection to each other, that convergence of unrelated tips elevates the credibility of the lead significantly, according to investigative logic. Multiple people independently saying the same thing, particularly if they have no reason to coordinate, suggests a genuine connection that warrants serious investigation. FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed on Fox News, according to their reporting, that tips dramatically increased following the footage release. His confirmation that investigators are looking at persons of interest, in the plural, according to the specific language he used, indicates that multiple individuals have moved beyond the general tip pool into active investigative focus. Sheriff Nanos reinforced the intensity of this investigative activity in his statement to 13 News, according to their reporting on February 11th. More detainments are likely, he said. This is not a sheriff hedging. This is the county's top law enforcement official telling the public directly that what happened with Carlos Palazuelos will happen again, according to what his statement indicated. That statement carries its own investigative message, according to analysis. Every person who might be connected to this case now knows that investigators are prepared to detain and question, that searches can happen, that the investigative net is actively being drawn tighter. The pressure that law enforcement experts describe as a strategic tool in these situations has been applied deliberately and publicly. The detention and release of Carlos Palazuelos, a 27-year-old delivery driver from Rio Rico, Arizona, provides a detailed window into how investigators are moving through their person of interest list, according to what his account and law enforcement statements reveal. The sequence of events, according to multiple news outlets including NBC News, CBS News, and ABC News, began with a traffic stop south of Tucson on the evening of February 10th, according to the official Pima County Sheriff's Department announcement. Palazuelos was driving when deputies stopped him, according to what he told reporters outside his residence the following morning. He told Telemundo, which is part of NBC Universal according to NBC News's disclosure, that he was initially not told why he was being stopped, according to what he described. When FBI agents and a Santa Cruz County deputy arrived at the scene, according to his account reported by ABC7, they told him he was being detained for questioning in connection with a kidnapping. I asked them, "Kidnapping of who?" According to what ABC7 reported, he said, describing his reaction in the moment. He was told, "Nancy Guthrie," according to what he disclosed. Palazuelos described the ordeal to reporters as terrifying, according to quotes published by NBC News. "Something I didn't do," he said, according to their reporting. "I felt like I was being kidnapped, bro. They didn't tell me anything." His vehicle was thoroughly searched, according to what he described to reporters. Investigators told him, according to his account reported by NBC News and other outlets, that he was being questioned because a tip had been called in stating he resembled the suspect in the FBI's surveillance camera footage. Simultaneously, according to official statements from the Pima County Sheriff's Department, the FBI Evidence Response Team was executing a court-authorized search warrant at Palazuelos' residence in Rio Rico. The home, according to what a woman identified as his mother-in-law told reporters outside the property, had its front and back doors damaged in the search, according to what Palazuelos himself confirmed to Telemundo as reported by NBC News. The search continued through the night and into the early morning hours, according to media reports from the scene. The Pima County Sheriff's Department announced early on February 11th that the search had concluded and the investigation was ongoing, according to their official statement. Palazuelos was released without charges after several hours of questioning, according to what he told reporters and what law enforcement later confirmed, without naming him specifically, as is standard protocol when releasing someone without charges, according to official statements from the Sheriff's Department. But here is what made this detention more significant than a simple case of mistaken identity, according to reporting by ABC News. A law enforcement official familiar with the case told ABC News that Palazuelos had been on the radar of the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department before the public release of the surveillance footage on February 10th, according to their reporting. He was not detained simply because a tip came in after the footage was released saying he looked like the figure. According to ABC News's reporting, investigators had identified him through electronic investigative tools, including cell phone usage information and traffic data, according to the sources they spoke with, without specifying the exact techniques. This means the surveillance footage release may have served a dual purpose that investigators don't typically discuss publicly, according to analysis. It enlisted public assistance through tip identification, while simultaneously providing cover for investigators to act on leads they had already developed through other methods, according to this analytical framework. The sealed search warrant, according to court records obtained by CNN, which reported it was sealed by a local judge from Santa Cruz County, Arizona, suggests that whatever evidence investigators presented to obtain that warrant has not been publicly disclosed, according to what the sealing indicates. Legal analysts explaining court procedures to media noted that search warrants are sometimes sealed to protect ongoing investigative work from interference, according to standard legal practice. Former homicide investigator and legal analyst Eric Black, analyzing the case for KOLD TV according to their reporting, expressed skepticism that investigators would seek a search warrant based solely on physical resemblance to footage showing a masked individual. "I do not believe a magistrate would sign off on a search warrant to enter someone's residence and conduct a search based on eyebrows and a mustache," Black stated according to KOLD's reporting of his comments. "I think there must be more evidence tying this location to the Guthrie investigation." His assessment: someone probably did provide that information. It seems rather flimsy to make a case on, but the Sheriff's Department and the FBI have kept a lot of the evidence close to their vest, as they should. So I suspect there's much more information that was involved in detaining him for that length of time. This doesn't necessarily mean the FBI has moved away from this individual, Black added, according to what KOLD reported of his analysis. The investigation of Palazuelos isn't necessarily concluded simply because he was released without charges, according to this analytical framework, Released without charges means investigators lacked sufficient evidence at that moment to arrest him, according to the legal distinction that experts emphasize. It does not mean he has been permanently excluded as a person of interest, according to how these investigations typically proceed. His release is consistent with Sheriff Nanos's stated approach of actively working through the suspect pool, according to the process the sheriff described publicly. Detaining, questioning, searching, eliminating or continuing to pursue, all as part of systematically narrowing who could be responsible. As investigators process tips and follow leads generated by the surveillance footage, physical search operations have expanded significantly across the Tucson area, according to official statements and media reports. FBI agents have been searching roadways and desert terrain in the Catalina Foothills area, according to what the Pima County Sheriff's Department and multiple news outlets confirmed. The FBI Phoenix office shared on social media, according to reporting by WRL, that they would conduct extensive searches along multiple roadways in the Catalina Foothills as part of the investigation. Investigators are also specifically searching around Nancy Guthrie's home for items that the person seen in the doorbell camera footage may have dropped, according to a law enforcement source familiar with the case who spoke to CNN. This is detailed forensic work, examining the property and surrounding area for anything the masked figure may have discarded before or after the abduction, according to what this investigative focus suggests. Additionally, according to CBS News reporting, search and rescue teams along with FBI agents began canvassing the neighborhood where Nancy's other daughter, Annie Guthrie, lives, following the surveillance footage release. The significance of this specific location, according to investigative analysis, relates to theories about how perpetrators gathered information about Nancy's schedule and routine. The search of desert terrain, according to law enforcement experts who have analyzed similar investigations for media, reflects the reality that in cases where victims are transported from their homes under circumstances investigators believe were planned, the surrounding terrain becomes evidence itself. Investigators look not just for Nancy but for any physical evidence that might tell them where she was taken, according to standard search methodology in these cases. The Catalina Foothills terrain presents specific challenges for search operations, according to what search and rescue experts have explained to media covering the case. The area north of Tucson includes desert landscapes, rocky terrain, and vegetation that requires systematic grid-based searching to cover effectively, according to how search operations in this environment work. The community surrounding Nancy's home has also become part of the investigative support network, according to what community statements show. The president of the Catalina Foothills Association, a neighborhood group, sent a letter to residents thanking them for their willingness to speak with law enforcement, share their own camera images, and allow their properties to be searched, according to reporting by WRAL. Neighbors' surveillance systems, doorbell cameras, and security equipment across the entire area have become a network of potential evidence sources, according to what this community-wide cooperation suggests. 1 week had passed as of February 12th without an in-person news briefing from authorities, according to what multiple news outlets noted, though the Pima County Sheriff's Department and FBI have been providing written updates, according to what they confirmed. This communication strategy, according to law enforcement experts analyzing the case, reflects standard practice during intensive investigative phases when the information that would be shared at a public briefing could compromise active operations or tip off persons of interest still being pursued. Stepping back from individual developments to examine the full pattern of evidence in the Nancy Guthrie case, several consistent themes emerge from the official statements, digital evidence, and investigative activity, according to analysis by former law enforcement officials and criminologists who have spoken to media. The preparation visible in the surveillance footage, the mask, the gloves, the specific backpack, the armed approach, all indicate premeditation rather than opportunistic crime, according to behavioral analysis experts. Someone planning to abduct an 84-year-old woman from her residence in the middle of the night doesn't improvise. They plan, they acquire equipment, they prepare for contingencies, according to criminal behavior patterns documented in similar cases. The knowledge of the security camera, evident in the figure's deliberate tampering with the device, indicates familiarity with Nancy's property that goes beyond what a random criminal would possess, according to investigative logic. This familiarity points towards someone who had been to the property before, who had observed or been told about the security setup, or who had access to information about Nancy's home through professional or personal connection, according to the analytical framework investigators have applied. The timing of the abduction, according to what investigators have noted in public statements, and what expert analysis confirms, placed it during the exact window when Savannah Guthrie was scheduled to leave the country for the Winter Olympics coverage. Someone who knew Savannah's travel schedule might have calculated that this window offered an opportunity when family response would be delayed, and Nancy would be alone without her most prominent and resourceful relative nearby, according to this investigative theory. The medications left behind, despite 41 minutes of access to the residence, according to the timeline established by digital evidence, present perhaps the most troubling element of the entire case from an investigative standpoint. Someone genuinely motivated by ransom, wanting to keep Nancy alive long enough to collect payment, would take medications that are publicly known to be essential to her survival, according to basic logic that investigators and experts have articulated. The decision to leave them behind suggests either that keeping Nancy alive was not the primary goal, or that the operation unfolded in ways that didn't allow for their collection, according to the analytical frameworks investigators have been working through. The ransom communications, which have been sent to multiple media outlets, and which the FBI has acknowledged while declining to confirm their authenticity, present their own contradictions, according to what investigators and experts have noted. The demands, including a reported $6 million Bitcoin demand received by KGUN9 according to their reporting, came with deadlines that have now passed. Communication with the family became sporadic, according to what Savannah's public statements indicated. No credible proof of life has been provided in a manner that satisfies investigative standards, according to what law enforcement sources told reporters. Former FBI Special Agent Catherine Schweit, who spoke to NBC News according to their reporting, compared the Guthrie case to a 2003 Wisconsin case she personally investigated involving an 88-year-old grandmother abducted by her granddaughter's boyfriend for ransom. In that case, according to her account, the abductor communicated aggressively and consistently with the family to collect payment. If you were going to abduct somebody for cash, why wouldn't you aggressively try to get the cash by communicating with the family right from the start, so you could get your money and return the victim? Schweit said, according to what NBC News reported of her remarks. The Guthrie case doesn't follow that script, according to her assessment. The Nancy Guthrie case has drawn attention not only because of Savannah's prominence, but because it represents a type of crime that is statistically extremely rare in the United States, according to FBI data cited in reporting by Newsweek. According to FBI statistics cited in Newsweek's coverage dated February 12, more than 49,000 abductions and kidnappings were reported in the United States in 2025. Of those, according to the statistics, only 10% involved victims over the age of 50, and just 145 cases were recorded involving victims in Nancy's specific age group, 80 to 89 years old, according to what the FBI data showed. 145 cases in an entire year, nationally, involving victims in that age range. That statistical rarity helps explain why investigators are treating this case with the intensity they are, according to analysis. Cases this unusual require unusual resources and unusual approaches. Dr. Mark Lax, a geriatrician at Weill Cornell Medicine, told Newsweek, according to their reporting, that reported abductions of older adults more commonly involve relatives or acquaintances rather than strangers. This observation aligns with the investigative focus on people who had access to or knowledge of Nancy's residence, according to the framework investigators have applied. Retired FBI agent Carrie Landau, speaking to Newsweek according to their reporting, recalled cases where older adults were forced to withdraw money from ATMs as part of financially motivated crimes. The scale of the demand allegedly made in connection with Nancy's disappearance, $6 million in Bitcoin according to the KGUN9 report, represents a level of ambition that presupposes substantial wealth or access to resources on the part of the Guthrie family, according to analysis of the financial motive theory. Throughout 12 days of uncertainty and anguish, the Guthrie family has maintained a public presence that reflects both desperate hope and strategic engagement with whoever may have taken Nancy, according to what their statements show. Savannah Guthrie, setting aside her professional duties including the coverage of the 2026 Winter Olympics she had been scheduled to anchor for NBC, has posted multiple video statements on her Instagram account, according to what media coverage has documented. In a video posted on February 8th, according to reporting by NPR and other outlets, Savannah was joined by her siblings Cameron and Annie. Together they addressed the situation directly, acknowledging they had received communications from people claiming to have taken their mother. "We received your message and we understand," Savannah said in the video, according to quotes published across multiple outlets. "We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay." The family's willingness to publicly state their readiness to pay ransom, according to what this statement indicates, reflects advice typically given by hostage negotiation experts in situations where families believe maintaining communication with captors is essential to keeping the victim alive, according to what specialists have explained to media. Covering the case. Following the surveillance footage release on February 10th, Savannah shared the images to her millions of followers with a plea that has since been viewed across the country. "We believe she is still alive. Bring her home." In a Monday video before the footage was released, according to NPR's reporting of her statement, Savannah said, "We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help. We believe our mom is still out there." Brother Cameron Guthrie, in a video posted to Savannah's Instagram and reported by multiple outlets, directed a statement toward whoever might be holding their mother. "Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward." The family's AI concern has also surfaced in the complex challenge of proof of life, according to what Savannah's statements addressed. In a world where voices and images can be digitally manipulated, according to what she acknowledged publicly, the family needs undeniable proof that any communication comes from their mother, and not an AI-generated fake. "We live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated," Savannah said, according to NPR's coverage of her statement. "We need to know without a doubt that she is alive and that you have her." This acknowledgement of AI manipulation as a factor in a kidnapping case is unprecedented in the national conversation around these crimes, according to analysis by media experts. It reflects the reality of 2026, where technology that didn't exist a decade ago complicates the most basic elements of hostage communication, according to specialists who have addressed this aspect of the case in media appearances. As of February 12, 2026, 12 days after Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home in the middle of the night, the investigation stands at a point that Sheriff Nanos himself has described as likely to produce more action, according to what he told 13 News directly. More detainments are likely. That statement from the county's top law enforcement official indicates investigators are not waiting. They are moving through their list. They are following every lead that those 18,000 calls have generated. They are processing electronic evidence, cell phone data, traffic records, according to what the investigative tools ABC News reported were used in the Palazuelos detention. The backpack identification, according to CNN's reporting, gives investigators a specific, potentially traceable item to pursue through purchase records and retail surveillance. The mustache visible through the ski mask provides a binary identification marker for anyone in the suspect pool. The gait analysis specialists are working from the surveillance footage. The digital forensics team is examining cell phone pings from the tower nearest Nancy's home around the 2 a.m. window, according to the investigative technique described by former homicide investigator Eric Black in his KL'd interview. Several hundred detectives and agents working around the clock, according to official statements. A 24-hour command center running in Tucson. FBI field offices across the country contributing personnel. The White House monitoring the situation, the nation watching, and Nancy Guthrie, somewhere, after 12 days. 12 days without her medications. 12 days with a pacemaker that is no longer monitored. 12 days without the family that has been publicly pleading for her return. Whether she is still alive, whether someone watching this investigation right now knows who that masked figure is, whether the backpack or the mustache or the cell phone ping or the 4,000 tips from the last 24 hours contains the breakthrough, none of that is answered yet, according to what remains unknown. But the investigation is not stalled. The investigation is moving, according to every public indicator of its pace and intensity. Nancy Long Guthrie was born on January 27, 1942, in Fort Wright, Kentucky. She raised 3 children. She built a life in Arizona over 5 decades. She attended game nights and family dinners. She watched virtual church services with friends. She lived independently in her 80s, sharp of mind and full of life, according to everyone who knows her. 12 days ago, someone took her from her home. The investigation is working harder, with more resources and more focus, than almost any case in recent Arizona history. The FBI has recovered footage that was thought to be deleted. A man has been detained and released. Searches are happening across the desert. 18,000 calls have been processed. Hundreds of investigators are following leads. Someone knows who that masked figure is. Someone recognizes the backpack. Someone saw something on February 1st that they haven't yet reported. Someone is holding information that could bring Nancy home. If you have any information whatsoever about the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, please contact 1-800-CALL-FBI, which is 1-800-225-5324. The Pima County Sheriff's Department at 520-351-4900, or submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov. A $50,000 reward remains available for information leading to Nancy's recovery and the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance, according to the standing FBI offer. This investigation has been presented with respect for Nancy Guthrie and her family. Our goal is to examine the evidence and the investigative process based on official sources and verified reporting, not to sensationalize the tragedy that the Guthrie family is living through. Nancy Guthrie is someone's mother, someone's grandmother, a person with 84 years of life and love that make her irreplaceable to the people who know her. And somewhere out there tonight, she is waiting. The search continues. If this investigation has moved you, if you believe cases like this deserve the most thorough and respectful analysis, please subscribe to the Investigation Room and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update as this case develops. After 12 days, Nancy deserves to come home. Her family deserves answers, and the truth deserves to be found. Thank you for watching this investigation. These are not just stories. These are real people in real danger, with families counting on every lead, every tip, every person watching footage and recognizing something. Bring her home.